Before I go into river crossing, can we take a moment to acknowledge what a missed opportunity it is that there's no Battle of Fort Donelson in the Shiloh campaign of this game? A major Union victory in the West is completely ignored, never even mentioned. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say Fort Donelson was a complete disaster for the Confederacy. Just huge tracts of Tennessee became completely untenable overnight, and I mean, there's a reason the Battle of Shiloh was fought way down at Pittsburgh Landing versus someplace farther north, and that reason was Fort Donelson. That's my opinion anyway. River crossing. This battle has, well, you can see for yourself, it's been changed somewhat from the way it was in vanilla. Back in vanilla, this was, of course, an offensive battle. The Union Army spawned way off in the west, and you would have to assault one of these two points held by the Confederates. In the mod, we now hold, we start holding one of them. And I think, you know, it makes the higher difficulties, I can only imagine, it makes them more doable, because obviously it's easier to win a defensive battle in the Civil War than an offensive one. Battle of Gettysburg, Battle of Fredericksburg, you know, these were battles that were pretty easy for the defending side to win. And, you know, I can't say I really liked assaulting either of these points on river crossing. Out of the two, if I were to play this on a higher difficulty, I would assault Crossroads Hill, the point that I'm sitting on currently, because I think it's easier to come up, you know, march my army down to the southern point of the map and attack up northeast through that clump of woods there over to the houses eventually. Just inch my infantry forward, inch up the artillery in support, and you can push the Confederates out of this point pretty easily. But it is boring. You know, it is boring. You have to, you're just sitting there. It takes so long to march your army all the way down there that it's like you're just sitting around not doing anything for the longest time. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, the other option is to assault River Dam Hill, and that is just a complete nightmare. It's doable, you know, it's satisfying maybe the first few times you've managed to do it, but the thing about River Dam Hill, of course, is in this game, units that are on top of a hill get an accuracy bonus, a boost, compared to units that are on lower elevation. It doesn't actually increase the range of any of your weapons, but your troops will fire more accurately. So it's just a complete slog to get up there. You have to cross the creek, and the moment you do, all that Confederate infantry is sitting up on the woods, or excuse me, up on the hill in a pretty powerful position. You know, they got some houses for cover there as well, and they're ready to push up and fire down at you like rats in a barrel. And if you didn't spend pretty much the entire timer bombarding the artillery on top of that hill, at that point you really get to because I mean you can see them sitting up there right now. I'm pretty sure I saw 2 other units there before, so you know they have 3 artillery units, and this is just normal difficulty. It's made particularly hard, or rather annoying, by the only siege artillery available to the player at this point in the requisite numbers are 10-pound parrots, which are about as bad as you can possibly get. So I'm playing really cautiously here, just very, I won't say passively, but rifles in front, smooth bores in immediate support. I'm trying to push forward. I have made a mistake and I have Hare here in front with his smooth bores when I should really have the Mississippi rifles in front, but you know, whatever. And now I see the Confederates have some cavalry way up in the north. I'll need to keep an eye on them. Push up the artillery. I want the artillery to be reasonably close to the infantry in case that cavalry decides to come down and attack. You know, maybe what will end up happening is they'll try to go for the guns and my infantry can countercharge or something. But there's really no reason for me to push this position all that hard because the Confederates don't have any weapons that are worth looting at the moment. My guys are still rookies, you know. If I push them too hard, they'll just wind up getting themselves killed. And they're still grinding out firearms and efficiency right now, so it's not like this is useless. We are getting the experience that my troops need right now. I go ahead and put Du Bois and Pond up in the north to guard my flank, hoping the Confederate cavalry might try to charge across the river. I'll get some volleys on them, but it's just it's not going to happen. They're going to continue to sit up there, and it's really just making me nervous, you know, that I don't want rebel cavalry sitting up on my flank for an extended amount of time. Just continue to push here, and I am getting a little bit, I'm taking a slightly bigger risk now because I am moving my guys within the range of the trees, so the Confederates could get some shots on me from cover. Meanwhile, Du Bois gets in the water, gets a volley off, but oh, this is bad. Yeah, and oh, it's a melee. I'm trying to send Cross up, but it's far too late to send any support. Luckily, Munford actually surrenders there. Looks like my 2 skirmishers were enough to deal with that melee cav, but I will acknowledge that it did some damage to me. And in hindsight, I could have maybe peeled off Cross to support those skirmishers a bit earlier and prevented that from happening. Marshall thinks it's a great idea here to turn and shoot Trimble in the flank, and it does work because Trimble ends up surrendering, but now he needs to turn his flank back around because he's getting shot in the side by enemy skirmishers. He's not going to. Of course, I'm going to have to tell him to do that myself. Come on, turn around, please. You can still shoot these guys in front of you perfectly well. So gonna go ahead and send Weed up to try and get in this this tree line to just wrap around and flank these incoming Confederates even further, put them into a crossfire, sort of like what I did at First Bull Run. Rifles in front, smoothbores in support. Here comes Trimble. This charge is not going to work out because I have Barry in immediate support. And belatedly I realize that I've sent my rifles here into a ton of skirmishers. Weed is just gonna get shredded by all these enemies. Yeah, that flanking idea of mine did not work out well at all. My skirmishers just standing around doing nothing. Gonna go ahead and try to bring Perrin and Trimble in to deal with these skirmishers. There's charges going on all around. Meanwhile, Dubois and Pond are doing good work up in the north, hitting the Stonewall Brigade in the flank, lessening some of the severity of that fire on Poe and his Mississippi 41s. Gonna fall back with Cross a bit and try to charge in with Barry and Cross. I don't get the timing quite right. Barry should have charged first, but nevertheless we have enough units here to deal with this, and we do. Perrin manages to get into the skirmishers, does quite a bit of damage, but is ultimately also routed. Meanwhile, Barry really needs to stop charging at this point, but looks like I'm distracted not focusing on him at the moment. Seems things have calmed down a bit. It's a good opportunity to reorganize my lines, get everyone into a good position once again. And I mean, 20 minutes, I don't have long at this point to push my assault because, well, the house rule that I have to finish the battle when I'm able. And luckily we do have one of the objectives already, because I don't think there would be enough time for me to march over to River Dam Hill and actually capture that as well, not with the resistance I've faced. Maybe if I had pushed my offensive more aggressively, but I didn't, and you know, I think my troops are pretty exhausted even now. I have my doubts that they would have been able to make such an offensive. Trying to charge my fresh 1842 infantry, not going to work out very well. They have support, and Hare is going to rout LZ pretty easily. Scratch that, LZ was shattered. And that's very good for me. So now I think It's time that I push forward. The Confederates are falling back in disarray, and so I'm going to do that. See how many of these rebels I can still kill, but we are pretty much out of time here. So whoever I get is just going to have to be good enough. And that is all there is to it. Pretty low casualties overall. Did some decent damage to the Confederates. That's good. Just keeping their numbers down before the Battle of Shiloh. Didn't get very many good quality weapons to compensate for those losses. Lost 2 captains, do not care. Got a brigadier general out of it. You know, I think the skirmishers didn't perform as well as I was hoping, but they did well enough, I suppose. So, 1 battle left before the Battle of Shiloh. I will see you there.